Well, good evening, everyone. We are welcoming you to this segment on tonight, and we thank you for tuning in on tonight. We are Apostle Larry W. and co-pastor Lady Jessie Yarbrough, and we are the founders of Abundant Life Ministries right here in El Dorado, Arkansas. And of course, we are located at 501 West Block Street. And while I'm there, we'd love to have you to visit with us each Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. to enjoy a great worship experience. And I know that you may not be able to see me clearly, but we're going to do the very best we can. We had some technical difficulties, but now we know that this time of the year, this month is Black History Month, where we recognize and celebrate African Americans for their achievements in society and especially in America. So, that being said, each Thursday evening this month at 7 p.m., we will do a highlight of an African American achiever. And these people that we're highlighting are not people of the past, but they are people of the present that we can meet and celebrate in everyday life. So, our first African American trailblazer spotlight, the celebrant tonight is Mrs. Erica Jackson Woods. Mrs. Woods graduated in 1993 from Southern Arkansas University with an Associate of Science degree in nursing. She later graduated from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock in 2022 with a bachelor's degree in science nursing. Mrs. Woods currently has 30 years of nursing experience in the areas of medical surgery, oncology, urology, and orthopedics. Presently, Mrs. Woods is on the path to earning a master's degree in nursing to pursue teaching and will be an advanced practical registered nurse on this year. She is a charge staff nurse, a mentor, and preceptor. In 2019, she named one of the 100, pardon me, let me start over with that. In 2019, she was named one of the great 100 nurses in Arkansas by the Great 100 Nurses Foundation. So we're about to introduce Mrs. Wood. She is a member of two professional nursing organizations and volunteers in her local community, educating others about diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, COVID-19, and the vaccine. She enjoys making an impact in undeserved communities by teaching others how to care for themselves and their families. She is a veteran of the U.S. Army from 1988 to 1996, having served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Mrs. Woods co-authored a book in 2010 entitled The Success Recipe, in which she was able to share her story of success in life, career, and finance. She is a financial guru and is passionate about helping individuals invest in their 401k, and also passionate about teaching children how to manage money and make purchases. And finally, among so many more achievements, Mrs. Woods is a mental health advocate and encourages minorities to seek mental health treatment when needed. So, ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome Mrs. Erica Jackson Wood, our African American trailblazer. Yeah.
So we are so excited to have our own Erica Jackson Woods. She is a woman who has accomplished so much in so little time. And so we're just excited that she is taking time out of her busy schedule to join us. And she's going to be telling us some more about her and her accomplishments. So if I can just call you Erica, is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. So just start off telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how your upbringing influenced how where you've made it to today.
Well, as she just said, my name is Erica Woods. I am from Strong, Arkansas, Strong America. I am the baby girl of QT and Hazel Jackson. And I come from a family of seven. So I have four sisters and two brothers. And one of the things that I can say that led me to my upbringing today is the fact that they taught us so much. And I can really say that my mom probably taught more because she was the main caregiver. But she always taught us to love each other, not to fuss and fight. If you're going to do something, do it right. And don't beg anybody for something that you can do for yourself. So
Mm.
that's one of the things that really has stuck with me all throughout my life. My mom actually became a caregiver at one point because my grandmother had Alzheimer's. So she brought her into our home and she took care of her. And then one of her jobs later on, she became a caregiver to people in the community. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my dad, he was a social butterfly. If he wasn't mechanicking, he was fixing the church vans in the community or mowing
Mm-hmm.
the yards at the church, the church where he attended. He was just always doing something. He was a mason. He was a singer. He was a trustee at the church. And so I have found that because of those things I saw them do, care about other people and serve in the community, ultimately it has kind of shaped my life because those are a lot of the things I do. I'm a registered nurse by profession, so I'm caring for people every day. And I love being a servant in the community. And that's something that I've definitely enjoyed.
Well, that's awesome. You definitely have a rich history coming all the way from Strong, Arkansas, and I'm sure your entire family is proud of you and all the strides that you've made. You did mention some about your family in your awesome book that I purchased back in 2020 with my person. I got an autograph copy. Y'all got to get y'all's own copy. But just an awesome book for everyone to get your hands on. She shares some of her personal experiences as to how she made it to where she is today. And so, describe, if you would, the mindset that you had when you were accomplishing your goals in school with the things that you had set before you. Talk about your mindset and how you were able to stay focused on what you had set before you.
Okay, well, one of the things that I did, being from a small town, I always knew I wanted to see something more. And one of the things I can remember saying, probably as a teenager, maybe about 17, 18, that I wanted to and see the world because I knew the world wasn't going to come and see me. So I actually joined the Army Reserve at the age of 17. I actually did a little early, so my parents had to
Wow.
sign for me. But by the time I went to basic training at AIT, of course, I was 18. So I joined the military in order to get that experience of seeing the world. Not really thinking about reserve was going to be a little bit more limiting, but I know that I didn't want to go full time. And then that really took me to that mindset of knowing that what I wanted to do early. I decided that I wanted to be a nurse probably around my 11th grade year. Again, that was something I saw my mom take care of my grandmother. And unfortunately, when she actually passed, she was at our home. And I always thought after that, what if I would have known CPR? What if I would have known
Mm.
to, just do something to save her, even though I knew at that point,
Mm-hmm.
that was all in God's hands. She was almost in her 80s at the time. But just seeing that experience, I knew then I wanted to be able to help somebody. I wanted to make a difference. So nursing was something that I knew pretty early. I always ended up in a science class or a math class. So for
Mm,
those who end up liking subjects like that, I didn't know at the time, you have a tendency to go into something medical or, in the engineering aspect. So my my direction was being paid for me,
hmm
even early on when I didn't even realize it. So
So that's amazing. So, it's amazing how God will cause our steps to be aligned for our purpose, even when we don't realize what's
right,
going on.
right.
So those, would you say those are some of the things that inspired you to become an RN that you are today?
Yes, those are some of the things that inspired me. And one of the other, my second thought was to be a teacher. Well,
Mm.
I sat down one day and wrote out all the pros and cons. So, nursing won out, of course. But in that, even in being a nurse, we're always teaching. We're always
Mhm.
um, telling someone or sharing with something that they can do to better their life or their circumstances. So throughout the whole process, it's really been interrelated to help others, and that's what I've ultimately done. And then my focus in that was, if I just knew whatever I wanted to do, if I set my mind to it, I
Mhm.
could accomplish it. And so I didn't see a lot of nurses before me, but I knew that that was something that I could do. So
Mhm.
that's just something that I held dear.
Mm. That's amazing. Now, I want to ask you some more questions about your nursing career, but before
Mhm.
we do that, let's jump back to your military experience.
Okay.
So that, I think that's just extraordinary. So talk about your experience in the military as a woman and as a woman of color, and what you did to adapt to that environment, and the things that you employed within yourself to kind of navigate the military.
Well, one of the things about the military is I think that it was easier for me is because I didn't go full time. I was reserved, what we call weekend warriors. So
Mhm.
I had that one weekend out of the month that I served. So I know in some circumstances you find that women are challenged in the military as far as not being treated equally. A lot of times there is, sometimes sexual abuse or harassment because you are a woman. And I am thankful to say that I really didn't experience those things. And I think it was an aspect of, you know, how I carried myself, how I knew, I just kind of knew my focus and my goal. And some things, if you don't allow it, then it doesn't happen. It won't
Mhm.
happen. Um, I think about sometimes if kind of felt like you weren't being treated equally, but sometimes it was kind of a good thing because when it came to picking up the heavy stuff or going out there on, doing
Yeah.
stuff that guys would do, they would call the guys for it.
Mhm.
So sometimes you think about, well, I'm not being treated equally. I was okay with that.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I didn't experience a negative aspect of it in the military. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that I can say I had a good experience.
Well, that's wonderful to hear that you had a good experience. And so your time in is it Desert Storm in
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia, do you feel like um you know the skill set, the mental toughness that you developed there has helped you even in your civilian career?
Oh yeah, definitely it helped because when you get in a situation like that at 18, 19 years old, you're either gonna fold or you're gonna grow up. And
Mm.
what it did for me, it definitely made me grow up. When I first got there, I probably cried for about the first 3 weeks. If they could have sent a soldier home for crying, they would have had me on the first plane. But I just had to get it together and realize I signed up for this. I'm a
Mhm.
soldier. I can, I'm gonna survive this. And I can remember the day that um, incidentally 10,000 body bags were supposed to be ordered, and
Mm.
an extra zero was hit. I was in supply unit, so 100,000 were ordered. At
Mm.
least that's the story I was told. So I got to thinking about that, and it put so much fear in me because I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "No." There's nobody bag over here for me. I'm going to
That's
go
right.
home. I'm going to go back the same way I came. And so from that day forward, I decided I'm going to survive this. I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to get back home, and I'm going to be able to carry on with my life, because at the time that I was activated, I was actually in my first semester of nursing school. So I didn't give up. I had to withdraw from school, and when I went back, I was automatically allowed back in because of my circumstances. So for me, it was just like, okay, it's time to pick up what you started so you can get this finished.
That's awesome. That is a great experience. Not many people can say that they have that specific experience that you have. So moving forward in your nursing career, just talk about the your experiences that you've had with helping patients, talking to people in your community, because that's a type of career that a person has to have a special level of care. Everybody can't be in the medical field.
That's true.
Even if one is intellectually capable, that doesn't mean they have the personal skills to do such a job. So you want to talk about that with your nursing career and the skills that you've employed within that career?
Yes. So as far as my nursing career, I have been a nurse now for 30 years. I initially started out in Monroe, Louisiana. I worked there for about 6 years, learned a lot, worked in oncology. So I had a very well-rounded foundation. One of the things that happened for me right before I left there, I ended up working on the floor with cancer patients, oncology, something I never thought I would like. And then that was one of the areas that it was amazing, because you could see patients in other circumstances. They come in, they get whatever service they needed, and they went home. So sometimes it wouldn't even be a thank you. But with oncology patients, when they had a cancer diagnosis, you saw them in a whole, you saw the difference in their life. They were more thankful, they were more humble, they were dealing with a particular thing in their life, but that they knew it could go one way or the other. So they just, you got a chance to see the whole person, is what I'm saying, like their physical part, their emotional part, but you saw where they were spiritually. And in some areas of nursing, you don't get a chance to see that. So I really learned even more compassion, because in taking care of those patients, you had to have compassion for them. It was so many times when families didn't understand what was going on, and the doctor may come in and they would say it in their way, and then they would look at me, and I literally knew how to explain it in a way that they understood. So I found that I was doing a lot of teaching, and in that, and that was one of the areas that I really enjoyed the most, working with cancer patients. Right now I do orthopedics. And so it's another great area where you see a person come in and, they may be limping, shoulders not working right, and they leave and they're feeling better and they get to go home. They see the results of what they've done has made them better already. So I really get a joy in seeing how much I can help somebody. I really enjoy that.
That's so good because I don't know all of the technical terms and the statistics about it, but I have read where sometimes there is a concern in for treatment for minorities, maybe concerned that they don't get the proper attentive care or the proper treatment or the attentiveness that they need. So it's so good to know that we have individuals like you that are in those spheres of influence that can educate and ensure that people understand. Because let's be honest, there are people that are being treated that may not, they're not going to understand technical terms. They're not going to understand, all these big words and, tell them one time and they got it. You may have to take your time and really explain, what something means. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. And I do see the differences, and sometimes it's heartbreaking. And that's when I know I need to be an advocate, because sometimes, especially when I was in the hospital setting, some patients didn't have family with them. And then I also saw times when their faces completely changed when they saw me because I looked like them. You could see the comfort. You could see where they were more expressive. They asked questions that they typically wouldn't ask because they didn't want to feel like they were being looked at a certain way. So I've always been glad to take care of anybody, definitely that. But when I could definitely make a difference in the lives of patients who look like me, I always wanted them to feel comfortable and to know that they could talk to me. I was their advocate. I'm always an advocate for anyone.
Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. So, so you are working on your master's degree so that you can teach. Is that correct?
That is correct. After all these years, I've decided to go back and to become a teacher. So I want to. That's my future goal. That's where you should hopefully see me in the next 5 to 6 years, maybe, and then I'll just maybe going into retirement. But I know I'm always going to be doing something. So, but yeah, definitely want to teach nursing. That's the plan.
That's good. And someone with you have a wealth of knowledge and experience. And so I'm sure that you would be an amazing teacher just by the information that you're sharing, and your students will be able to glean not only, from an educational standpoint, but from a personal standpoint,
Right.
Things that you can share, that because some things are not in the textbook.
That's right. That
And
is
you
so true.
definitely need that experience that someone can impart into you. So let's kind of change gears and talk about your role on the Southern Arkansas University Board of Trustees, in which you are serving as chair. That's an amazing accomplishment. So just talk about your responsibilities on the board and your role as chair.
So one of the responsibilities that I have on the board is to, direct the meetings. I lead the meetings. I call them to order, and also I have 4 other members with me. It's a board of 5 of us. So ultimately, we are ensuring that SAU continues to be the school that it is. That we educate students to live productive lives and to fulfill, their dreams and their goals. So we just try to keep things in order, and it's just amazing to be in that position for me because that's something that, we haven't always seen. And I love the fact that I've had this opportunity to be a part of SAU and to continue promoting SAU to do the great things that it's done. We're going to keep the ball rolling and keep it, right in motion. So I'm just glad to be in that leadership position. And it's just really taught me a lot. I'm learning so much about how schools are run, how things are done. And it's just been an amazing opportunity. And I'm so glad that I was chosen.
Indeed. And I'm glad that you were chosen too. I am a mule rider, and it just makes me feel good to see someone like you and your compassion and your heart to serve in that capacity. And I graduated from SAU in 2004. So to see all the progress that's been made, it seems like every time I go back on campus, it's something new and something different.
Oh, yeah,
So that's a great sign. So I'm just so happy to see that you're operating in that capacity. So we know that that SAU, the staff and the students are in good hands. So thank you for serving in that capacity.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this question. So based on all the things that you have accomplished and all the things that you aspire to accomplish, who would you say inspires you the most? Abundant Life Ministries, located at 501 West Block Street in El Dorado, Arkansas, cordially invites you to worship with us each Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Apostle Larry W. and co-pastor Lady Jessie Yarbrough, founders. Abundant Life Ministries, the place where Jesus is Lord and you are loved.
I would say that my mom actually inspired me the most. And it's funny that you say that and you had the book open. I mean, book, because I had to pull the book out too.
Yeah.
So I actually want to read what I wrote in the book because I know not everybody has it.
Mm-hmm.
And but I wanted to talk about my mom inspiring me.
Okay.
And I'll just read what I wrote. The most influential person in my life was my mother. I was blessed to grow up with both parents, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom for many years. Even though my dad was always present in my life, my mom and I had a special bond, which is common as the youngest child of the family. We talked and shared a lot of things, and she would tell me stories about how she grew up. Through these exchanges, I watched her share insecurities and fears that many other siblings did not observe. She was like a best friend, even though she was my mom. I could talk to her about anything, and I know that I'm the person that I am today because of her teaching, ideals, and wisdom. So, yeah, she was my most influential person. And another thing that I remember her telling me specifically, I was actually a travel nurse for 8 years. When I left Monroe, Louisiana in 99, I decided I wanted to be a travel nurse. So I was struck out and decided to do it. So my plan was for 3 years. But right before I did it and signed all the paperwork and, you know, packing my apartment up, I started to get fearful. And I had been praying about it. I felt that really good peace about what I was doing. But I went home one weekend and I talked to my mom about this travel experience. And she said, "You're going to be fine. Go ahead and go." She said, "The same road that took you there will bring you back." That's all I needed. It was a wrap. It was a wrap. And I never forgot that because I knew that if I had her blessings on going, I mean, I'm hitting the highway. I'm, by myself traveling wherever I thought I wanted to go. But she said that, and it was so meaningful to me that I had that type of support. And she always just encouraged me to, if I wanted to do something, do it. Like kind of like that sandwich. If you're gonna do something, do it right. And another thing that she always said is, don't beg anybody for nothing. You can ask one time, it's all right. You may have to ask a second time, but if you ask a third time, then you're begging. Just go on and do it yourself. And I'm like that right now too. Just go and do it yourself.
Yes, yes, indeed. Well, your mother has provided some awesome tools and nuggets for you, and I can see why she would be the person that inspires you the most because it seems like she's instilled so much into you, and it's something about getting that peace from mom when she gives you that blessing. Yeah, you feel like you could conquer the world.
That's right.
So I'm thankful that she instilled those things into you because we are reaping the benefits
Yes.
of what she instilled in you as you are pursuing your purpose in life. And so kudos to your mother.
Yes.
So let me ask you, what helps you to keep going every day after all the things that you've accomplished so far? What are some of the things that helps you to keep going, stay mentally focused on your goals that you have at this point?
Well, I have this little saying that I always say, I have people to meet, I have places to go, and I have lives to impact.
Mm,
So
that is so good.
I'm here for a purpose, and I'm just ready to live my purpose. And I feel like each and every day that God blesses me to get up and go to work, I'm fulfilling my purpose. Um,
Mm.
I'm excited to see my patients every day. 30 years later, I'm still excited about that. So I'm just so glad that also that I chose a profession that I truly love and still enjoy. I didn't choose it to, it's a career. It's a career for me. But you know how sometimes people do a job all their lives and they really don't like it. They really didn't have a passion for it or a love for it. I'm just so happy that I chose something that I truly have a passion and love for. Because I do it even when I'm not getting paid. That's when I go out into the community and do health fairs and set up with the vaccines when COVID was going on. I help mentor kids. I'm a part of the Little White Black Nurses Association. And we are a community service organization where we as nurses, we go and volunteer our time. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I I do it for free, and I do it and get paid.
That is the best. That has to be the best feeling to know that you're passionate about something to the
Mhm.
point of, my former pastor, Pastor Banks in Pine Bluff would say, whatever it is that you're willing to do for free, that's your passion.
Yes.
And that's where your purpose is. So
Mhm.
I think that that's awesome. So based on that, it sounds like that would be an area that you would encourage for improvement within the Black community
Mhm.
as it relates to health and health awareness. Because it seems like that's something that you're doing, like you said, when you're not getting paid for it, you're going out into the community, teaching people, helping people. So would that be an area where you see a need for improvement in our community?
Yes, I definitely see the need there. Sometimes, people have problems getting to their appointments. They cancel the appointments and different things like that. And one of the things I really wish, and I know there's some opportunities out there. They call someone, and they provide them services to get to their appointments and things like that. But not everybody take advantage of the services. So um, one of the things I wish that would happen is that just people just become more aware. But I know, in a sense, we can't spoon feed them everything. A lot of times, you got to reach out and ask questions for yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would just love to see, an area of, going into in the community that they just get more attention, I guess, is a good way to say it. And it's a prime example is when the vaccines came out for COVID. Some of the minority communities weren't served the same way as some others were. So I would just love to see, you know, everything just get on that equal playing field when it comes to health.
Mm, that's really good. That's important. And someone may be watching this interview who has a desire and a passion also for the community and for health awareness and for resources. So, don't be afraid to organize, to reach out, to forge relationships, to impact communities of color, particularly when it comes to healthcare. So, yes, thank you for that. So, as we move along, let me ask you, I mean, you've accomplished so much. So, what would you say is your greatest accomplishment? If you can name just one.
Oh,
You may not be able to name just one.
I have about three or four, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually talk about one of my greatest accomplishments. When I was around 14, 15 years old, I told my mom, one day I'm gonna build you.
Hmm. Wow.
I wanted to keep it together.
No, it's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay.
But I told her, I said, I'm gonna build you a new house, and
Hmm.
either I'm gonna buy you a new car. So I said that around 14, 15 years old. So when she was 62, she her car, I don't remember what happened to it now, but it just wasn't working no more.
Yeah, it broke.
And so yeah, it broke. I think my dad actually had an accident in it.
Okay.
But she always said, I want a new car. I
Hmm.
just want a new car. And I felt like, all the things she had done in life,
Hmm.
she deserved it. And so I took her to El Dorado, and I told her to go ahead and look for a car. So she told me what color she wanted. She told me what kind of car note she wanted.
Hmm.
And it wasn't gonna be much. It's about $200, Erica. I'm like, oh, $200. Now, for true enough, it's been like 22 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So
Right.
cars were a lot cheaper then.
Hmm.
But what I did, because my mom had never gone through that process herself, my daddy always took care of it. He was a mechanic, so he always took care of that part of the vehicle. So like I said, I had her to go to El Dorado, and she told me what she wanted and all that. And I let her go through the whole process of talking about the payments and what she wanted the car down to. And my greatest accomplishment was knowing I was going to get her that car. So she thought she was going to have to pay for it. And I
Wow.
paid for her car.
Yeah.
And I felt so happy. I felt like that little girl
Mm-hmm.
who's promised her at 14, one day I'm going to buy you a new car or build you that new house. And I said, well, I don't have the house money, but I got some car money.
There we go. Wow.
So I paid for it. And she
Mhm.
didn't have a note or anything. And I didn't talk about that to brag about it or to boast about it, but I just wanted to share that story because somebody always have a dream of something that they want to do. So if you put your mind to it and you set that in your heart, God knew that was a desire of mine to
Mm-hmm.
do that for her. And all those years later, it came to pass. So
Wow.
it was just, I would say that's my greatest achievement.
Well, that is an amazing achievement. And it just shows, it goes back to your selfless and unselfish nature. You know, that's your, for you to categorize your greatest achievement as something that you did for someone else. That goes back to showing your heart of compassion and your willingness to be of benefit to those around you. So that's why I believe that you're so blessed and you're so fortunate now, because God sees the intentionality of your heart to be a blessing to those around you. So you told us that we could expect you to be teaching in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to continue with your nursing career. So as we get ready to depart, this has been a great session. I've enjoyed chatting with you this evening. So for our viewers, if you would just kind of categorize, what words of encouragement or advice would you leave to other individuals who may be considering, people of color that may be considering going after their dreams, whether it's in the medical field or some other area? What words of wisdom and advice would you leave for them?
I would say, and it's just a simple word, simple few words, and it's not to give up.
Mm.
Yeah, don't give up. If it's your heart's desire, you go for it. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Try to tell you it's something different. You know what's in your heart. You know what you have a passion for. So anything that you want, you can achieve it. God has put that ability in us. So if you just tap into who you are,
Mm-hmm.
tap into God first, because he'll lead you and direct your path. He'll
Mm-hmm.
start orchestrating stuff for you at the age of 15, 16 years old, like I was sharing with you a while ago. He'll start orchestrating that thing
Yes.
for you early,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see it come to pass. So I think about the scripture, Habakkuk 2:2. If you write the vision and make it plain, if you do that, you've already set a foundation putting it down, because when you write it down, you're going to go back to it. At least you should. You're going to go back to it. And even when you want to give up on it, you're going to go back to that thing, and it's going to keep, just encouraging you to do that. So if you implement the steps,
Mm.
you'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Write the details down.
Wow.
Details are so important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's what we leave out. We'll talk about something at the beginning of what we want and something at the end of what we want. But you got to talk about that middle thing, and that's the details of it. So when you do that, you'll get where you want to go.
Mm.
You got to have a plan, though. You got to have.
Yes. Wow. That is so good. That is so profound, and it's so practical. So
Mhm.
write it down, go to God, write down the details, go back
Mhm.
and visit it. That's so good. Sometimes we overlook, like you said, we overlook the details,
Mhm.
and we can end up feeling overwhelmed. But if we just take a moment, recalibrate, go step by step, before we know it, we will have achieved the things that we've set out to achieve.
Mhm.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Erica Jackson Woods, all the way from Strong USA, Arkansas. She has taken the time out of her busy schedule to share with us tonight. The last thing is, for your book, where can individuals purchase a copy if they would like a copy?
They can go to Amazon. Actually, I actually have some copies myself. So come to me first if you decide you do want a book. But they're there is a link for it on Amazon. And the name of the book again is The Success Recipe. And the book is actually under Ojinga Carr. He was one of my mentors who actually wrote the book. So I'm a co-author of the book. It's me and about 16 other people who shared in this book. So that's the name it's under. And actually talking about a goal, hopefully I will have my own book one day with just my name on it.
There we go. Absolutely.
But this is a book that I'm, like I said, those are all the people on the back. So I'm co-author of this book.
Awesome. So you all heard it, The Success Recipe. You can get it directly from Erica Woods, or you can get that on Amazon. So thank you so much for joining, and we will be back each Thursday in Black History Month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next week, we have retired Captain Carolyn Dykes from the El Dorado Police Department. You don't want to miss it. So meet us right back here, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time next Thursday. Thank you all so much.